So the car behind us is a Radical SR3. And a Radical is essentially a purpose-built, ground-up race car, and Radical is a company based out of England. And they make these. This one is a first generation. There's been 2 generations since then, so they've gotten better, but the basis is all the same. So it is around being somewhat entry-level race car into the world of prototype racing, so a full aero car that you could run a little bit cheaper than a regular full race car. So these ones actually run a Suzuki Hayabusa engine, so common Suzuki parts. We had to do some repairs on it, and we could just order it from a Suzuki dealer. It was great. It was nice and easy. And then in terms of brakes and all that stuff, being that the car only weighs 1,000 pounds, it's quite a bit easy to maintain, and it's not too hard on tires, not too hard on brakes or anything like that. The other thing too is the fact that it's a race car. It is drastically easier to work on. And if we want to talk about performance, the cornering speed of the full aero car and everything, we've been driving it for a couple of days now, it is unmatched. So we are going against Porsche GT3s, Mercedes GTRs and all that stuff, and the corner speed is just insane. They cannot follow it. The idea with performance behind a Radical, being a purpose-built race car, it's all about either safety or speed. Nothing else is on here. So they keep the weight insanely low. And although sometimes the sticker price is a little bit more, in terms of actually owning one and driving it, it's really not all that bad. Especially a first gen like this, which will still smack supercars around like it's nobody's business. This $40,000 car was just beating on a $600,000-$700,000 car just a few minutes ago. So full aero, tires, low center of gravity, you can't beat it. And the cool thing too, Radical decided to give you 2 seats. So you could bring a buddy along for you so he could experience the gut-wrenching G's this thing can pull. And when we're talking about gut-wrenching G's, they have recorded G's up to 2.5 lateral in corners. So the insane amount of grip. There is no street car that pulls 2 Gs. So the fact that this could pull 2.5, you are relying on mechanical and aerodynamic grip to make that happen, and a super low weight. In terms of comfort, you're laying down in this sucker, so it's actually super comfortable. Like you can have a nap in between going out, and it's great. Blowing it apart, taking all the panels off takes no time. So we have access to everything to service it very, very quickly, and everything's kind of nice and cheap on it. So go buy a Radical, go have some fun. So in terms of the driving experience of this, you have 0 driver aids. And by 0 driver aids, there is no power steering, there's no power brakes, there is none of that. Your brakes, you gotta be nice and firm on them, and then this one doesn't have the paddle shift, so we actually have to shift it, and it's linked directly to the motorcycle transmission. You know, our neutral's between first and second, and then we're just slapping it forward or backwards like a sequential gearbox. So it's kind of nice and easy. The steering not being power, it's still not too bad because it's a very light car, but under high speed and heavy load, you're definitely getting a workout in your shoulders. Is it difficult to drive? No. Is it very responsive? Yes. You know what the car is doing. Even if it gets a little squirrely, it kind of places itself pretty good on track, and it's balanced insanely well. There is no weight beyond the axles. Everything is centered. And even if you look at the height of the tires, the way our body and everything sits in here, all the weight is below the top of the tires. So it makes it actually pretty phenomenal to drive. So if you've never driven a race car, it's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not that bad. It could easily be done. So maintaining and owning a race car, is it feasible? It's not as bad as what you'd think. So a set of 4 tires on here is about $2,500, and being that the car is light, it'll last quite a while. Brakes, we could do the front pads and rotors for $600 and the rear pads and rotors for $600, and that's gonna last all summer long. The maintenance of the engine is a motorcycle, so it's really not that difficult. So to get into one of these cars, they're gonna be anywhere from $40,000 all the way up to $200,000 if we're buying a new one. And then actually running the car, probably about $1,000 to $1,500 a day. That being said, do not let that deter you from getting into racing, because you don't need to spend that much money. You could take your mom's Sentra with all season tires and go have a ton of fun on the track. So the main thing is about being there, experiencing it, and having fun and working within your budget.